Thank you. Best of 7. I think we'll get the go-ahead in a minute.
That's going to be.
Where do you live, Tony? All right. I know where Hyden is. I live in South Manchester. So. Okay, Daniel, thank you. Thank you. First frame, Daniel Harwood to break.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Southwest Snooker Academy here in Gloucester for the inaugural World Disability Billiards and Snooker Parris Q's Champion of Champions.
Sorry?
It's the opening session of this special event that brings together champions and the best performing players from the WDBS circuit since its creation in 2015. We've got live streaming all weekend. It's the first time that we've been able to showcase one of our events, so we're really hoping you'll enjoy the action. My name's Michael Day. I'm going to be the lead commentator for most of the weekend, but we'll be joined by a number of players and WDBS officials throughout the weekend. So if you do have any questions or anything you want to ask, now's a good time. We'll sort of go through the event in more detail as we sort of go along, but this is the first match that we're going to be live streaming today. It's from our Group 6 classification section for intellectual impairments, and it's between Daniel Harwood and Leroy Williams. All these matches are being played in a round robin format, so there's 4 players in each event. Like I say, these are the champions and best performing players from the first event that we held in 2015 up until the beginning of 2018. So these players have qualified for the event. Daniel and Leroy are 2 of the outstanding performers in our Group 6 section. They're very consistent, and this is an all Liverpool affair. They're both from Merseyside. All Group 6 matches in the round robin phase are best of 7 frames, and the top 2 players from each group will progress to the final, and the finals are all scheduled to be played tomorrow at 2 o'clock. What we will see in this match here is shouldn't take too long, even though it is the best of 7 frames. Daniel's a very quick, fluent player. Leroy's a little bit more methodical, but Leroy is a very good potter and player as well. Played the cross double there, more of a safety, but unfortunately I think he stuck the red up. I'm not sure if there's a gap there for Leroy to get through to the red. Both players will be nervous. Obviously, this is a very big event. This is the biggest event that we've held so far in the WDBS circuit. But the prizes and everything else that goes with it this weekend, there's a lot of pressure on these players, and also playing on the.
Sorry,
I'm
no.
not sure either one of these 2 players will have played on a professional.
Go on if you're going.
Like
Go.
this, so there'll be nerves with that as well, especially in the opening frame as they get used to the conditions. It looks as if he can just get through to this red. There is a path through there. He may play this a bit of drag to keep himself at end of the table for the black. Yeah, managed to get through.
1.
He's just on the black there. I think he's a little bit hampered with the pink though, so that's a bit unfortunate. The cue ball's landed there.
Black ball.
Slightly hampered over the pink, but this is an opening tester here for Leroy. Yeah, it was a tricky one to start.
Leroy Williams,
Slightly hampered
1.
by the pink. I think he has blocked the path of the red into the same pocket where he potted the black, but this red below the black spot goes. So this is Daniel's first opportunity to score.
1.
Yeah, that's a nice shot. Good for his confidence. This might be the first time as well that these players have played on tables of this standard, so we are playing on star tables here at the Purpose Built Academy. We do go to some lovely venues across the country, across the UK, but this is slightly different to anything that we play on the circuit. sure Daniel's on the red. He wanted to play the red into the bottom left-hand pocket.
8.
So again, it's just basically jockeying for position, really, just finding out the conditions. Like I say, these are star professional tables here at the Southwest Academy in Gloucester.
Neale, Harwood,
Probably
8.
haven't played on tables or conditions like this before, so it will take a little bit of getting used to, but will do for anybody. He was disappointed to just score 8, but he's managed to play a safety there. He took his medicine. A lot thinner than what he intended, but I don't think he's going to leave any damage on there. In fact, he's left most of the pack with the blue. But Daniel here can clip on the right hand side of the reds here. Send the cue ball back up to bulk. Clattered into the yellow, but no damage done. In fact, he's left it a bit tricky for Leroy here. As I said, all these matches in our Group 6 event, they're best of 7 frames in the round robin. The final tomorrow will be the best of 9 frames, and all of our finals will be streamed live. The final session will be 2 o'clock tomorrow. We will stream one of the finals. I'm not quite sure which final it will be yet. We do have further matches today that we're streaming as well. We've got one at 2 o'clock and we've got one at 5 o'clock session, I believe. And we'll be back again tomorrow morning at 10 and 2 o'clock. So we hope you're sitting comfortable and going to be enjoying the action here that we're bringing to you this weekend. Like I say, if you do have any questions or anything you'd like to ask us, then please do sort of contact us on social media or YouTube. If you can as well, we'd really appreciate it if you could give the stream a share. We really want to try and get this around the world, get people showing what we're doing, and this is a showcase. This is the showcase of our best players, the champions. So we'd really appreciate it if you could give us a share on social media, tell your friends, tell other people. And whilst you're there, if you haven't already liked our WDBS Facebook page, we'd really appreciate it as well. We're also on Twitter as well. Every little bit helps. We obviously want to try and expand our portfolio, expand our reaches. That would be really appreciated. So in the meantime, as I've been yapping on, Daniel's potted to the middle pocket there. He's potted the black. So this would be a tricky little tester along the top rail here. The reds are in a fairly favourable position, so if he can get onto the black, he could do a little bit of damage here. It's just basically just getting in with this shot here. It's a crucial one. Yeah, that's a nice shot there, and he's good on the black. Like I say, Daniel is he's our most successful Group 6 player. He's actually won 4 events. He's a 4-time title winner. As recently as last month in Northampton at the Open Disability Championships, he won the Group 6 event there, where he actually beat Leroy in the final 4-0. So Leroy's probably coming to this event wanting to, with a little bit of revenge on his mind, try and put that record straight. But like I say, Daniel is our most successful player. Yeah, that's a nice shot there. I'm not sure if he's straight or if he's the wrong side of straight there, whether he can run the cue ball through and down the black.
16.
To the left of it. Let's have a look. No, that's fine. Yeah,
70.
It's all about control at the minute for Daniel here, the way the balls are positioned.
Telling Harwood.
A little bit disappointed with that there. See with the cue,
70.
He's overhit that as well, so he was in a good position there to make a few, so he'll be disappointed to miss that. A little bit of a chance for Leroy here. As I say, you'll see with Leroy is he's a bit more methodical player compared to Daniel. As I say, very successful on the circuit. He's actually reached our last 7
1.
consecutive Group 6 finals. So, as I say, very, very consistent. He did win the Northern Classic in February when we were in Preston. That's the one title that he does have on the WDBS circuit. But like I say, he has reached 6 other finals as well. So very consistently looking to make it 8 this weekend.
Yellow ball.
And as I say, it'll be a good time to win his second event this weekend with all the prizes and prestige we have here at the Parris Q's Champions.
Foul. Touched it.
Oh, looks as if there's a waistcoat foul there.
Leroy Williams 1. Daniel Harwood 5.
Bridging over the red on the right hand cushion there. I think his waistcoat has just caught that. So thankfully for him, he didn't pop the yellow as he desired and didn't leave Daniel right into the business end of the table. The other 2 players in this group, they're also playing this morning's sessions, but they're playing on one of the outside tables. Is Richard Yendall and Andrew Galley. As I say, each event is a 4-player group. It's a round robin format. Everybody plays everybody, and the top 2 will then meet in the grand final. So a defeat today is not a defeat this morning is not the end of the road for them. They will have an opportunity to go through. So could even potentially go through on 1 win, but obviously that depends on how the other fixtures work out. We are in the main room here at South West Snooker Academy in Gloucester. There are 9 tables in action altogether. Obviously we've got the stream table here. There are 8 other tables, so you might see other people sort of come into the picture, the screen. There's a lot of action, a lot of tension going around in the room. So we'll try and keep you updated with results elsewhere as well, but you can actually view all the latest results on My Snooker Stats. So you can go to mysnookerstats.com. All the latest results as they come through will be on there, and also the current group standings as well, because obviously that will be important this weekend, where the position they are in the group, whether they qualify or not. That's a nice shot there.
1.
Just avoids being off. And he's, looks as if he's got a really good angle here on the green to come back down to the business end of the table. Yeah, he's brought that down nicely.
4.
Switching hands. So we can see some of Daniel's natural ability there. He was able to switch hands, and it looks as if he's pretty good on this black, but he's managed to get in behind it. Deposits is black, and I think he's got a gap here through to the red into the bottom left-hand pocket, able
12.
to run through. This will be another little tester for Daniel. Like I say, these pockets are tighter than what they usually be playing on. Yeah,
And then Harwood,
that's not a ball that he would usually
12.
miss, perhaps on one of the club tables that he practices on. So he'll be disappointed with that, but he will learn from the effort that these tables are slightly differently to anything he's played on before. This is actually the 4th occasion, 4th time we've been at the South West Snooker Academy for the WDBS. The organisation actually started their very first event here in 2015, so it's nice to come back each year to play on these beautiful conditions. The other 2 players in the group, like I say, Richard and Andrew, they're both champions in their own right as well. They've also won a title in the Group 6 section for players with intellectual impairment. So everyone in this group has won a WDBS title before, so they know what it's like to be the last player standing.
1.
just wondering, I think Leroy obviously tried to come below the 2 reds there on the black. I'm just wondering that he's underhit it so much whether he could actually pot it from where it is, but I don't think he can quite get through to the potting angle.
Leroy Williams.
If you look at their previous records, I have mentioned that Daniel has won 4 events. Each one of those finals that he did when he beat Leroy in the final. So, as I said before, Leroy's looking for a little bit of revenge here this weekend. And this weekend's event is sponsored by Parris Cues. John Parris himself, I think, is going to be coming to the venue this weekend to watch the action. He did sponsor one of our events in February at Northampton, the UK Open, which was very successful as well. So we're really thankful for his support and sponsorship.
One. Yellow ball. Leroy Williams. 1.
So I did mention earlier that we do have all of our classification groups playing this weekend. We have 6 groups in action. So we have groups 1 and 2, which is for wheelchair players. We have groups 3 and 4 and 5, which are ambulance, so limb issues, multiple limb issues. And they both have their own events. We've got group 6 here, which is for intellectual impairments. And then we have groups 7 and 8, so that's sight and hearing issues as well. So what we have tried to do this weekend to make it fair, we've tried to get as many an array of different players on the stream. Obviously there are a lot of matches going on, but we can only stream 1 match per session. So we've tried to be as fair as we can, you know, really showcase what the WDBS is about. So all the best parts of it. Like I say, we do hope you enjoy the action throughout the weekend. If there's anything you'd like to see or any constructive criticisms or anything like that, then please let us know. We're open to hearing your thoughts. Anyway, in the meantime, Leroy's managed to get himself back into the business end of the table here, and all these reds go somewhere, so this is a good opportunity to potentially poach the frame. Again, I think that was just slightly underhit. I think these 2 players realise that the conditions we're playing on are very quick conditions, so they're a little bit apprehensive over hitting the ball. So in turn, Leroy's underhit a couple.
9.
Just wondering here with the angle whether or not he may think about playing a cannon into those 2 reds there to perhaps slow the black down, or you see where he's pointing his tip there. He's looking to see whether that red goes into the bottom right hand pocket. It obviously does, but just lining that up. Yeah, I'm not sure he did intentionally play the cannon. He was certainly lining up to just drift the cue ball up a little bit further to the table, and he has cannoned to the reds, but unfortunately not hard enough, and I think that's going to be the end of the break there. So he needs to play a telling safety. He has managed to get a little bit back into the frame with his 16 break, so wants to try and put a little bit of pressure on Daniel here with this cue ball.
Leroy Williams, 16.
Play the cue ball into, but he managed to bring the white back here onto the top cushion.
Foul. Leroy Williams, 4.
a good tester for Leroy's queuing here. Yeah, it's a lovely shot there from Leroy to bring the cue ball back up into the bulk area. Played it as a shot to nothing. It's going to be very difficult to score points from the position of the Reds here, though. But he has got himself back into the frame. He was nearly 40 points down here, so he has got a chance. He's given himself to take the opener here. I'm not sure if there's much value here. I think Leroy's just going to possibly pot the blue and just play a good safety. It's very difficult to develop the Reds from this position. Yes, just brought the cue ball down. You see he's not hit that hard. The beautiful cloths that we're playing on are very conducive to action on the cue ball. So, like I say, these conditions will be different to anything that they've played on before. Okay, so that wasn't an ideal position where the cue ball was. He's kind of given the advantage back to Daniel here. Like I say, he's only 7 points down in the frame, so this should be a close climax to this opening frame. As I say, this is the most prestigious event the WDBS has held so far, and it's just over 3-year history. Obviously, we've got the prestige, the prize money, and the title for grabs this weekend. But it was announced a couple of weeks ago that the winners of each event, so all 6 events, the winners will have their accommodation and flights paid for to the World Snooker Federation Championships in Dubai next year. So all 6 winners from the groups this weekend have qualifying spots in that event, and that is the biggest amateur event in the world, which contains a lot of prize money and even professional tour cards and places in other professional events as well. So there's a great step for our sport to see players of all abilities and standards and capabilities in the WSF Mixed Gender World Championship, which, like I say, will be held in March in Dubai. So that's a pretty massive golden carrot on the end for these players this weekend. So as if the pressure wasn't there already, it's really been cranked up with that announcement, and that's been supported by one of our long-term supporters here on the WDBS circuit, Johnny Welsh of FizThink's 360 Talent Agency. He's sponsored and supported our events this year. I know he's looking to support our events even further. So for that, we're very grateful that these players have the opportunity to travel to the Middle East next spring to compete in the biggest amateur event in the world. So real progress is being made on the WDBS circuit. We'll talk a little bit about over the weekend about the WDBS and obviously its aims. Obviously the main aim is to try and get snooker rightfully back into the Paralympics. It was one of the founding member sports of the originally called Stoke Mandeville Games, but unfortunately in 1988 in Seoul was the last time that snooker was involved in the Paralympic programme. So we are striving to get snooker back rightfully on the main stage of the Paralympics. That is something that we think is achievable. Obviously there is quite a bit of work to go into that will happen, but we think we're on our way to achieving that goal. Earlier on in the year, the WDBS travelled to Belgium for their first event outside of the UK. That was very successful. There's a couple of players this weekend who won in Belgium that we will talk about when they come onto the stream. Daniel Blunn in Group 3-4 back in March. He won the event in Belgium. he's going to be one of our live stream matches later on today against William Thomson in a England v Scotland clash. That's at 2 o'clock. But also what we're starting to see here on the WBS circuit is players from abroad competing more often. Our last event in Northampton, we had entries from Belgium, Poland, even India and Hong Kong. So the association is starting to go global. People are really starting to notice what we're doing, and people are getting involved. I know at last year's World Snooker Federation Championships in Malta, there were players from Iceland and Israel, I believe, who were eligible for WDBS events. So one of our aims is to try and get players from different countries to take part, so then we can take that to the IPC and show how we're reaching these players around the world. In the meantime, Leroy's got dangling a fiendishly tough snooker here. The first effort wasn't too great, so he's been put back again. A little bit closer this time. Oh, that was very great effort there. Not sure the referee's called a miss there. I mean, that was quite a difficult escape, and you know, there was paper thin the miss there. And Leroy's behind the threadhead anyway, in a pretty strong turnaround this for Leroy, because he was almost 40 points down on this frame, so this is an opportunity to perhaps win the frame. Looks like he's got a nice angle here on the brown to roll up to the yellow at the top of the table. This would certainly be a very good frame to pinch if he was able to. That's a slightly underhit this ball here. He may have to use the rest. But he is left-handed, so he might be able to. Yeah, no, he's fine. Nice shot. He wants that cue to come off the cushion. I think that's just okay. I think he'll be able to perhaps punch this screen out. It looks like he's the right side of straight. Looks like he's running it through, so he might be playing the brown into the middle. Oh, he's missed it. Hasn't stuck it up though. He's been quite fortunate with the miss there, but that was an opportunity miss for Leroy. He did require green and brown there to. He would have been 18 up with 18 on the table, but with the blue in the middle of the table as well. If he potted the brown, I think it would have been frame over. Daniel just able to get to the green without needing the long stuff, the equipment. But he has played that pretty slackly, and he has left Leroy a little pot shot on this green. And a nice angle to perhaps come up to the brown, the bulk area. Was a little bit tricky with the cue in there. He has pushed the blue safe though, so that possibly in his favour, especially being 11 in front. If he does pot the green and brown, he will be 18 up, so he does need the blue himself, but he'll be at the stage where Daniel would need snookers to win or all the balls to tie. So I think that suits Leroy more than it does Daniel. That's a fairly good shot from Daniel there. For a second I thought he might have been just sneaking in behind the brown, but it's still a good one. He has actually pushed the blue even safer, so that's going to be an issue for whoever gets to that in a minute. Wasn't the worst reply in the world, but he has left Daniel an opportunity here. I wouldn't say that it's a full chance, but the way Daniel can pot it is possible. Where's all this going to end up then? That green's very close, and he has. So both balls were close to finding gravity then, but he has fluked the green, so that does change the complexion of the frame a lot, because now Leroy will need the blue as well. Wow, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, you see Leroy smiling there. Now, he is on the blue, he does have an angle, but wow, this is going to be a brave shot to actually take on. Yeah, no, he's played the he's taken the prudent option there and played a safety. Although, well, I think it's just, well, I was about to say I think it's run on, but he might have left Leroy a little. It's a very thin cut here, but Leroy does need the pink now, so he could play it as a shot to nothing. But in terms of sort of winning the frame, he might not be able to afford position for the pink afterwards. Yeah, it was quite thin and has got away with it though. No damage done. Not sure this is the easiest shot in the world to get this safe. It's effectively a blue ball game, this, really, because both players need the blue and pink, although Daniel would need the blue, pink and black to take the frame. Leroy just needs blue and pink. Yeah, that was the problem. I think that was a shot that was on, but the double kiss was always a possibility. Rather fortunately, though, Daniel has not left it on, so that's pretty frustrating for Leroy, but I think Leroy can play a good safety here and put distance between the cue ball and the object ball. As you see, Daniel doesn't take much time at all. He's a very fluent player, especially when he's in the balls. When he's in break building form, he doesn't take much time at all. Like I say, the opening frame, they will be a little bit more apprehensive than they will be usually be in the middle of the end of a match. But hopefully, we say they both find their confidence, both find their strokes soon. I'm sure they will. But there is a lot of nerves out there, and especially being the opening match, they both want to get off to a win. Whoever loses this is obviously on the back foot in terms of qualification for tomorrow's grand final. So very important to try and get a win as soon as they can. Now then, this is an opportunity for Daniel. Can he hold himself together? It looks as if he's got an angle here to come back down to the bottom end of the table. That's a nice shot. And this looks absolutely perfect. So he's got a nice angle here to come round, possibly around the back of the black. Now he's managed to, well, you can see where he put his tip there. He's not very happy with that effort. I thought he might have gone around the back of the black or played it into the other pocket, but it looks as if he was trying to leave the black into the bottom right hand pocket. So he's 7 up with 7 on, so he does need the black. There could be a respot here. Yeah, you can see he was very disappointed with that. It was a thin cut on the pink, but it was a nice shot on the blue to leave himself an angle to come down to the black, but wasn't best happy with that effort. So imperative here to get a good cue ball. He's managed to hit it. He's decided to hit it a bit thicker than thinner. I mean, thin was an option, but that's pretty good. Possibly left Leroy a cross double here. It's hard to tell from this angle here, but could play that as a shot to nothing. So you could potentially see a respotted black as our first frame on the stream this weekend. So that would be a dramatic start to proceedings. Well, he's actually gone for it direct, which was quite risky. I thought the cross double might have been on, but it's not the worst leave in the world. It'd be interesting to see whether Daniel takes this on or not. It's a big shot to take the opening frame. It'll calm the nerves. Yeah, no, he's played the more conservative option and slightly under hit, but I think that's okay. I don't think he's left the cut on.
Are we doing live stream? Is it for YouTube or?
Yeah, it was a bit too thin there to go for the pot, so he's just put the cue Blunn back on opposite side cushions. That's a good shot. But has he left Daniel the temptation for double here? Well, I think he did go for the double, but that's hit it too thick. Did get a cue ball though, and that was obviously the main ambition of that shot there. So again, not the easiest of opportunities here for Daniel. I think he looked at the potting angle there, so he's looking to perhaps chip this into the middle pocket. He's bringing the cue ball back into the bulk area, so there is an element of safety attached to this as well. Yeah, just hit the far jaw there. He's got the cue ball back up into bulk, but he's left Leroy a chance here to force the respot. Too thin, but he's managed to get away with it. That's quite remarkable that it's ended up there. That was you can see as soon as he hit it, it was too thin, but it's a good pace for him to miss it at. Ooh. Could have been disaster if he clattered into the black there, but he's managed to get the cue ball back into bulk. Just wonder whether or not Leroy's going to go for this black here. He might try and play it as... He can't really play it as a shot to nothing. He's really got to commit on the shot if he's going to go for it. As I say, whoever does manage to put this frame on the board, it would be a real confidence booster if this frame's gone one way and the other, but Daniel Harwood the opportunity to take the opening frame here. Yep, and that's a nice shot. So dramatic opening frame, went all the way. Daniel led initially and Leroy come back into the frame. He'll be disappointed he didn't have a chance, but missed that green when he was looking like mopping up for the frame. But Daniel Harwood takes first frame and he's 1-0 up. As I said, if you do have any questions or any answers, anything that you want to know about the WDBS, please let us know on the YouTube. We do have the chat box open. Somebody in the opening frame did mention about using adaptions and equipment in our events. As long as the actual implement has been authorised by our rules and technical committee, that's fine. So if you are thinking about entering one of our tournaments, competitions, and are not sure about using different implements and devices, obviously just give us a little contact and we'll be able to sort of cover that for you, whether or not that's allowed or not. Quite a lot of our players, you may not see the whole array this weekend, but quite a lot of our players use different and various implements to help them play the game. Obviously players with limb issues and ambulant players, they use little devices like one of our players uses a small rest to basically act as a bridge, so implements and things like that are used. So that's something our rules and technical committee will decide on whether that's allowed. I think we're just waiting for the players to come back. I think they've gone for a toilet break. But I say Daniel will be delighted to win that opening frame, especially with Leroy coming back into back into it. I did have the opportunity with the colours, but he missed the green. If he potted the green, I'm sure he would have potted. He was right in behind the brown, and the blue was elementary as well. So that could quite easily be Leroy 1-0 up, but it's not. So he's got to collect himself together and go again. Like I say, it's a best of 7 frames, so still time to get back into this. Peter in the chat box of the YouTube chat's asking about live streaming for future tournaments. That is something that we're keen to sort of explore. Like I say, this weekend is the first WDBS event that we've hosted on live stream, so we're delighted to have Tony here to help us do the live stream. We really thought it was, that's a great shot there from Daniel. We really thought this was a great event to showcase. These are the best players that we have on the circuit at the minute, so we felt it was deserved, especially with the prizes on offer, to actually have live stream for the weekend. Like I say, if there's anything else that you'd like to see or anything change throughout the live stream, let us know. We're obviously open to ideas and suggestions. We have got a few things as well lined up in terms of sort of media and interviews and podcasts and things like that, so everything's progressing and evolving. But if you have any ideas, please contact us either on here or social media. In the meantime, Daniel potted a beautiful opening red and potted the blue, and he's on the black here, but it looks as if he's going to cannon to the red, so might not end up on a red after this. Yeah, he played the cannon. He's missed the black as well. That was tricky to get completely right there. There's a shot to nothing was tricky, but he was never leaving anything on, although possibly Daniel's got a shot to nothing himself here with perhaps a double if he can manage to get the cue ball into a safe position. This is what he's played. No, but he has left a chance of this red here at the on the top cushion for Leroy. It's a tricky one. That's a tricky little cut back. Yeah, as I was mentioning in the first frame, these pockets aren't going to take much down the cushions, so that's going to take a little bit of getting used to. I have spoken to a few of the players before the event, and our last event in Northampton. Many of them haven't played here at the South West Academy. Like I say, this is our 4th event here in Gloucester, although not everybody has been to the venue, so it will take a little bit of getting used to. Was a nice shot there from Daniel. I don't think he was going into the back, he was just trying to just avoid it and swing it round. Possibly looking for an angle on this black to clatter into them, but that looks wide to me. It is. But you see there, he left the white deliberately low, and he would have had a nice angle to clatter into the balls. Yeah, so Leroy was trying to do what Daniel wanted to do. Smash into the pack of reds, but unfortunately just misjudged that, so it's just a safety for Leroy here. As I mentioned, both of these players are from Liverpool. We do have a strong contingent from Liverpool especially in our Group 6 events. It's nice to see the players travel there. Like I say, they're extremely enthusiastic. They love coming to these events, and whilst there is a real sort of family atmosphere at all our WDBS events, it is very competitive on the table. There's no niceties on the table. They want to win, and especially this weekend with the stakes so high with the qualification for the WSF Championships. It's it's very serious this weekend. There's good prize money involved, the title as well. We are also as well playing for the first time the Nick Oliver Trophy. We will talk a little bit more about Nick later on throughout the weekend, but he was a very popular character on the Q Sports scene, both as a player and a fan. Unfortunately, he passed away last year, so I think it's really fitting that a big event like this is named in his honour. That is something that we'll talk about a little bit later on. We do have an article for the website coming out as well this weekend as well, tributing Nick and what he did in snooker and pool. So it's I think it's a nice touch that the trophy is in his honour. As I say, each classification group, so there are 6 disability classifications playing this weekend. Each one of those will be their own event, but collectively they'll be playing for Nick Oliver Trophy. As I'm talking, you see now, straight down is there with the black. He's to get the cue ball into the real bulk of these reds here, so it's an opportunity here for Leroy, but he just needs to settle down. I feel that first frame might be playing on his mind, because that was something he could have poached, but this is a good opportunity to score a few points here and take the advantage in this frame. Again, you see that's a couple of times Leroy's underhit the cue ball. I think he's a little bit tentative, hitting hard. He knows how reactive the cloth and cushions are. Didn't want to overhit it, but in that instance it might have been better to overhit it than underhit it. But credit to Leroy that he didn't play anything rash, that he managed to hold himself together and play a safety. So that was more of a shot than nothing than anything by Daniel trying to screw the cue ball back into the bulk. He was looking to get a little bit closer to the pot. I think the red would have rattled in the jaws and perhaps stayed down that end of the table, but the red he went for has shot back up. No damage done though, and Leroy plays another safety. What we might try and do this weekend as well, like I say, the results are on my snooker stats, but as obviously the session's going on, there are 9 matches going on at the same time. Perhaps we might try and get a round of sort of live scores, try and go around the arena and find out how players are getting on. I know people are tuning into the stream. They might want to try and find out the latest scores, especially later on in the competition. That'll be crucial how scores are, because there could be frame difference involved in terms of sort of qualification, elimination. So that's something we'll look at perhaps trying to instigate. In the meantime, Leroy's back in here. Again, he's just under hit that. So this will be just a little test. It's a little cute shot here to get on the black. Yep, that's a nice shot, nice recovery. Although he does look a little bit straight on this black, so again it might be a bit of an issue here. We'll need to put a little bit of work on the cue ball to get on his next red. Not sure if this red at the top of the apex of those 3 reds there, if it goes in the middle, he's looking at it. I think he can just get to the potting angle. Yeah, he's taking a good look there. It's obviously close. He'd have probably been down to play it already if it was elementary, but he thinks it can go, and it looks as if he's... It's hard to tell for a second. I thought he was screwing back for the black. That's a nice shot there. That'll nice little confidence boost for Leroy. So I think that's his first 20 plus break of the match. So he's got a nice little lead here on Daniel, 26 up with 67 remaining. That's a nice shot there from Leroy. I don't think the red has interfered too much. I think he can just get to the potting angle on the black. In fact, that might actually work to his advantage. It looks almost like a guide for the black, so he can pop this black. There could be a few more to come. Oh, looks as if he's going to marry it. Yeah, he's just... Well, I think that's the worst place it could have gone. I don't think he could have not been on a red except for being there. So yeah, I've got to question whether or not that was the right shot or not. I mean, he's got a lead of 34 points. I think it would have been best to perhaps leave that red there, because it's Daniel who needs the points here, and he's been given a little half chance here. He might be able to stun this in and leave himself on the pink. Well, he could stun it, but he's missed it. So possibility for Leroy here to take the frame. He's gonna have to be conscious of that cue ball. He did foul in the opening frame with a waistcoat foul. So it looks as if he's just put a little extension on the cue there to make sure that doesn't happen again. Our referee for the match is Steve Sark. You can see Steve there keeping a watchful eye over Leroy's waistcoat. You can see Leroy's very conscious of how close he was. Wow, that's pretty much disaster there for Daniel, and this really is a great opportunity for Leroy to level proceedings and get his first frame on the board. Yeah, he's got a nice angle here on the black to bring the cue ball out to the open. I think that's okay. I think he didn't really not be on a red there. I thought he might have played the red towards the pink spot, but he always had options. In fact, I think he can get through to this red at the bottom of the table, so that's even better. Yeah, that's good. So he's 43 up with 43 on, so this black to leave You're needing 2 4-point snookers. Yeah, well done. So looks as if Leroy's put the disappointment of losing that black ball game in the opener, and this is a good response from Leroy. Missed the red, so I think that's enough temptation there for Daniel to carry on. I think if Leroy potted the red, he wouldn't have been coming back, but it is only 2 4-point snookers, so he will carry on, especially with the red of the pocket. Ideally, you would want to leave the other red on the table because, well, he's played up for the pink. That will mean that he requires 2 4-point snookers to tie. So I'm just wondering whether or not he's aware of that by potting the pink. That will change the complexion. I was saying ideally you would like to keep the red on the table because that's the possibility of leaving like a free ball. But Daniel's decided to pot that. This is not. This is far from easy. Really needs to pot this black. Else it is over. You would feel. Yeah, well, it's a good shot. He's given himself a little bit of a chance, but as I say, he is 35 points behind now. So 2 4-point snookers would only mean he would be able to tie. So he might be looking at a higher value foul at some point. He's such a good pot. He doesn't want to play a snooker at the minute, but the more balls he's taken off the table, the less options and balls to snooker behind he's leaving himself. So I mean, he's looking at the scoreboard now. He must surely realise that he needs 2 snookers to win the frame. I'm just wondering whether or not it was the right thing to pot the yellow and green and possibly even the red 4, because he's really limiting his options. Especially look where the blue is; he can't really snooker behind that. Pink and black are obviously in a line at the bottom of the table. That's possibly a target, but that's very narrow. Be very difficult to see Daniel getting required snookers here. Looked a good line, but nowhere near hard enough. Just wonder whether Leroy will think about possibly just putting this over a pocket. It's a little bit hard for that, but that's a lovely shot, and that really should be the end of the frame. Okay, so Daniel's decided to carry on. He's 34 points down though, so with just 18 remaining, he would need 4 5-point snookers, so he might think about perhaps getting a snooker on the pink at some stage to narrow that down, but very, very unlikely for that to happen, you would think. It looks as if for a second there I thought Leroy was going to get a snooker of his own. frame would stop the rot for Leroy as well. Like I said, our last final at the Open Disability Snooker Championships in Northampton only 3 weeks ago, this was the final in the Group 6 event, so this is a rerun of that. But it was a fairly one-sided final. Daniel won 4-0, although there were a couple of frames towards the end of that final that were close, similar to the last frame, especially with Daniel winning the first frame here, so he would have won the last 5 frames against Leroy, so this will stop the rot in that succession of frames for Daniel. So the frame still goes on. He's not. Or I think he might have. Oh yeah, Daniel's had enough there. He's in the snooker himself. It was a tall order anyway to get the required snookers. So Leroy, good response from Leroy. It's 1 frame all. Okay, so we're back here for live stream here at the Parris Champion of Champions at the Southwest Snooker Academy here in Gloucester. This is a Group 6 match between Daniel Harwood and Leroy Williams. Daniel took the opening frame on the black, quite a dramatic frame really. The frame went from one way to the other, but Leroy was a fairly comfortable winner in the second frame. These matches in Group 6, which is our intellectual impairments group, all these round robin matches are best of 7. Tomorrow's final, the top 2 players in the group will be best of 9. So like I say, it's now effectively a best of 5 with a score 1 frame all. As I said before, if you do have any questions to anything you'd like to ask the WDBS, we are all here this weekend. Just give us a tweet or a little message on our YouTube chat box there. We'll try our best to answer your queries and questions over the weekend. I will be joined by various people throughout the weekend. There are board members and players as well into the commentary box. I'm not here by myself all weekend, but my name's Michael Day. Like I say, I'll be here for the majority of it, so we'd really appreciate it if you don't mind sharing the stream out there. We really want to try and get this stream out there. If you're unable to watch the actions today, the videos will eventually be archived on the WPBSA YouTube channel as well, so you'll be able to go back in time and watch the videos. A little schedule of what we're going to do this weekend. Like I say, we have a match streamed every session, so the next session after this will be at 2 o'clock. That'll be a match from our Group 3 classification between Daniel Blunn and William Thomson, which is be another fantastic clash to look forward to. That is 2 players who are very successful on the circuit as well. A little bit later on this evening, around I think around 5 o'clock, we've got a Group 7 match between another pair of champions between Mike Gillespie and Nick Neale. Group 7 is our hearing impairment group. Tomorrow morning we're looking at screaming one of our wheelchair matches, and then tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock all the finals will kick off at once. Around sort of 2 o'clock we're hoping. We're not quite sure which final we're going to stream yet, but we've tried to be as fair and pragmatic as we can, try to give a good sort of variety and spectrum of what WDBS is about and the types of players we have on our circuit. All the players in this event have qualified by right through their results and performances over the last few years. So our first event on the WDBS circuit was at this venue in 2015. So we did actually have a ranking list of how players performed and points from 2015, I think, until the start of the year. So the top 4 players from each group were initially invited. A couple of players weren't able to make the weekend, so we did work our way down the rankings list in terms of criteria and qualification, but we've, in all 6 groups, they're very competitive, very, very strong lineups. Groups 6, 7 and 8, so obviously this is a Group 6 game. The round robin matches are best of 7s, the final is best of 9. Our other groups, so Groups 1 and 2, Groups 3 and 4 and 5, their round robin matches are all best of 5 frames, and that's purely because of the players' sort of physical conditions. It would have been a best of 7, might have been a bit too long for them to sort of tolerate, so we're very conscious of that. So that's those matches later on. So our game at 2 o'clock will be a best of 5 match. This is best of 7, so not to confuse you that they're all playing different length matches. Anyway, back to the action. Leroy had an opportunity there to look at the reds. They're absolutely very attractive, but unfortunately he's missing the red and he's passed the opportunity up to Daniel here. We do also have referees on all the tables this weekend, so we're very thankful as well. A big thank you to the army of referees that we have. They do support our events really well. As I say, we only had an event a couple of weeks ago in Northampton at the fantastic Barrett's Club, which is actually the first time where we've hosted all the different classification groups together in their own tournaments. It was a really busy weekend. We had a record number of entries. We had players from Poland, we had players from Belgium, there's entries from India, even Hong Kong. It's really showing the expansion of the WDBS, and it's, you know, really heartening to see that momentum is being made, and events like this and the live streaming that we have now, we really want to try and showcase to the world. There's no reason why disability snooker couldn't be one of the biggest disability sports in the world. And like I say, it is our sort of core ambition to try and get snooker back into the Paralympics programme. That is something that we're very passionate about, and something that we think that we will achieve eventually. It's a good shot from there from Daniel. Like I say, these balls are fairly attractive, but it's just trying to get into a perfect A1 position. Daniel will be keen to get back on the winning trail after losing the last frame. We're also quite thankful to have a couple of high-profile ambassadors for the WDBS. One of those ambassadors is Rob Walker, who's obviously, we know him probably more from being the MC at the Crucible and BBC events, but he is also obviously a very well respected Paralympic broadcaster as well. He's one of our ambassadors for the WDBS. We're thankful he actually took time with us in Northampton to meet the players and the board as well. He's given us some advice moving forward about how we, as we look to try and get this back into the Paralympic programme, about what we need to do, and obviously trying to make the association as fair as we can and competitive. We want to try and get all disability classifications involved, but it is obviously about making it fair and competitive at the same time. So there have been challenges on the way, and obviously there will be more changes in the future as well, but I think we're heading on the right track. There's a little, I think there's a little debate on Twitter about a question that was asked earlier on about different implements that players use. As I say, there's little different utensils and applications that people use. Like I say, they do get authorised by like a technical sort of rules committee. Quite often players with sort of limb and ambulatory issues will use a little sort of heavy weight. That's probably the best way to explain it, which basically acts as like a bridge hand for them. One of our players, Kalma 2, is actually not playing in the event this weekend, but he's actually refereeing. He uses a heavy weighted little rest, so the end of a rest, which is he holds down and he drags around with his other cue, because he's only able to use one arm. That's one of the little implements we use. There are other players who use something very similar as well. I think it's something called like a cannonade or something along those lines. So those are the sort of utensils or equipment pieces that people use. You won't see that in our group 6 event here, or 7 or 8. Some of the wheelchair players have different sort of implements and pieces of equipment as well, that you may see when we stream a wheelchair match tomorrow morning at some point. But that's more really the ambulant groups, groups 3, 4, 5, where they have limb issues, mobility issues, multiple limb issues. Nigel Coton, who's actually in one of our Group 3 events this weekend, he plays with one arm in a sling. He uses an implement to help him as a bridge hand. He's not scheduled to be on the stream, but we might get a chance to show you what that implement looks like, because it is very interesting to see how these players adapt so that they can play snooker. And I've spoken to a lot of the players where they basically said it's not the end of them playing snooker. They've had to adapt the way they play in terms of sort of holding a cue and what equipment they use to actually use as a bridge hand. It's fantastic how they've adapted, and some of the balls they pop with them is quite remarkable to think, really. From a position of the balls looking in a very favourable setup, they have gone a little bit scrappy here. The black's a little bit disguised as well by the pink, but that was a nice shot there from Daniel. He'll be keen to take this frame. Looks like he's got a nice angle here on the brown to get back down to the bottom part of the table. I'm not sure if he comes down, if he was to pop the pink, whether or not he respot on his own spot, or whether it would need to go on the black. If it goes on its spot, it would tie the black up again, so Daniel won't be happy with that shot, but he's kind of got second prize there. He's left Leroy hampered with pink. Shot there. Nice little containing shot. Possibly has given Daniel the advantage here to play a telling safety. All the reds seem to be in one area of the table, so if he could manage to get thin enough and get behind sort of brown and yellow. Okay, so Daniel's played it slightly differently. That's a fairly clever shot there. He's left Leroy again hampered, so he might elect to come off the side cushion here. Might be a little bit easier than getting the spider out or another implement. Yeah, that looks okay. He's left Daniel the route to that red at the top of the table, so just avoided the double kiss there by a hair. And he's left Leroy hampered again for the third consecutive shot, so Daniel keeping the pressure here on Leroy. This is a good little safety battle here. If you weren't here at the beginning of the match, we did talk about there is an additional very big prize on offer to all our group winners this weekend here at the Academy in Gloucester. The winner of each classification group will earn a qualification spot into the World Snooker Federation Championships in Dubai next March. And as we know, the WSF Championship is the biggest and most lucrative amateur event in the world, where really good prize money. There's a lot of other sort of rewards on offer, even a tour card to the champion of the event. So it's fantastic that these players will have an opportunity to play a part in that mixed gender event, because also there are female competitors as well. There is the WSF Ladies World Championship as well in Dubai next year, but they also play in our mixed gender event. So it really is a key for all. The WSF Championships next year, everybody is going to be involved. Everybody's going to be given a fair chance, and the progress that the WSF are making around the world, it's fantastic that the amateur game is in safe hands. The WDBS works in partnership with the World Snooker Federation. You see the logo on the top left hand part of your screen there. So under the WSF umbrella, obviously we have the WDBS and the World Women's Snooker Tour and the Seniors Tour as well. It's all under the same umbrella. It's all in harmony, so it's fantastic that players from all different disciplines get a fair crack of the whip. looks like he's got a nice angle here to perhaps come down to that open red, but while he's looking at playing the snooker, I was about to say it's very difficult to score the way the reds are, but it's a nice shot. I think that would have been called a foul on this because it was a bit of a target there, but yeah, it was cool miss. So a little bit surprised that Leroy's elected not to take the red on himself. He was sort of plumb behind it. Perhaps he thinks Daniel might offer him up a better opportunity or miss it again. I think he was a little bit straight on the red as well, so perhaps he was conscious of that. So he managed to hit the cushion further up there, Daniel, and hit the red. And I don't think he was aiming for the loose red. I think he was looking at hitting one of the two clusters of reds there, but it's worked out pretty well for him. So perhaps Leroy is in his decision not to take that red on. Well, he's underhit that. Again, we've seen that a couple of times from Leroy in this match where he's underhit a ball. He's obviously very conscious that these tables are so quick. He didn't want to be erred on the side of caution there. He was a little bit worried if he hit it too hard, he might have opened the reds up. So that's okay though. He to take the 4-point penalty. And that's a good save from Daniel. And across the table twice. Good opportunity then to establish a pretty hefty lead here, you would think. Red in the pocket. I'm just wondering whether he's going to come back now. He's going to come back up for the blue. He was unable to hold. I think he's overhit this, but he's going to be on the green, so he always had options there. You would say, obviously, given Daniel's sort of formidable record in the Group 6 events, that he is the favourite for this weekend. Although, as I mentioned earlier, Leroy's actually reached the last 7 finals in our Group 6 events up and down the country. So Leroy is no stranger to reaching showpiece events and finals himself. He did win the UK, he won the Northern Classic in Preston back in February, so he has tasted glory in the circuit, but in recent months it's been Daniel. And in fact, of those 4 titles that Daniel's won, he has beaten Leroy in every single final, so these two players have a fair few head-to-head encounters between themselves, and it'd be a great weekend for Leroy to put that right if they were to meet in the final again this weekend. Like I say, our other 2 competitors in the group will be wanting a fair say in that. Richard Yendo and Andrew Galley, who are both previous champions themselves in Group 6 events on the WDBS circuit, so they'll be hoping to qualify for the final as well. In the meantime, Daniel's sort of gone around his business here. He's on a break of 22. 34 up with 35 on, so he needs this red to put Leroy requiring snookers. Tricky red here, and like I say, if he plays it a pocket like he will be leaving red on. And you see, he has left it on, so this is a counter-attack opportunity for Leroy. This really would be a steal if he could get this, but all the balls are on their spots. Just got to make sure that he gets a nice position on the black here. So it just touched that top cushion. You'd probably find on most club tables that might have gone in because he did play at a reasonable pace, but on these star tables here at the Southwest Academy, it is purpose built. That's not going to go in, so pressure on this black then for Leroy. He's got to pot it, but it looks as if he's got a lovely angle here to got the table. He has struggled with the pace a little bit and under hitting balls. Yeah, no, there was pressure on that black, so I think he realised if he could get a really ideal position on the yellow, there was a good chance of clearing up. So that miss does mean that he is now 33 down with only 27 on, so he does require 2 4-point snookers. Well, there's one of them. I think Daniel can, he could just turn it over a little bit there, get through to the yellow, so that was a good escape. It's not going to be too easy getting these snookers, you would feel, for Leroy. The black's on the cushions, so that's very difficult to snook behind. With the other balls in the open, there's nowhere to hide, although, as I was saying that, Daniel has gone in off rather carelessly, you've got to say. So there is an opportunity here for Leroy. The chase is on, he only needs one snooker, and the way he's left the yellow in proximity to the blue, he could potentially roll the cue ball up behind the blue. This is a little touch shot, like I say. He has struggled with under hitting the cue ball, so this will be a good little tester. Yeah, again, you see he was a little bit apprehensive there with getting the cue ball behind the blue, and that was a really good chance actually for Leroy to get the penalty points that he requires. Maybe a little bit more nervous now, Daniel, after going with that in off there. He does realise that just one more mistake or one good snooker from Leroy, and he'll be back in the frame. So as you see that shot there with Daniel, just wondering whether he's going to look at obviously getting the object ball over a pocket. He wants to try and get as many balls. Obviously he wants to try and pot them, but if you can make Leroy pot the balls himself, then that limits his options in terms of snookering potential. That's a lovely shot there from Daniel. He is really a prolific long potter when he's on form, and you can see there that's the sort of thing that he does quite regular. I think you'll see with a lot of the players, they will grow in confidence over the weekend as they adapt to the conditions and the event itself. Obviously this is the first event, so any standard, any level of play, you know, it's always difficult to come in cold, as it were, for your opening game or opening match of a tournament. So Leroy's had enough there, and Daniel retakes the lead. It's 2 frames to 1. Okay, so we're back here with action from our Group 6 event here at the Parris Champions, and a bit of a schoolboy error there from Leroy, who lost the last frame to go in directly off the break. If you weren't with us earlier, Daniel took the opening frame on the black. Leroy comfortably won the second frame, but Daniel reasserted his lead with a fairly comfortable win in the third. This match is the best of 7, so first to 4 frames, as is all Group 6, 7 and 8 matches in the round robin. There are best of 7 frames. As I said, if you do have any questions or any queries at all that you want answered regarding sort of disability snooker in general, you can contact us on our social media channels. So we are on Facebook, we're on Twitter as well. We are streaming to obviously via YouTube today. We've got a little chat box open as well, so if you want to ask us a question, we'll be more than happy to answer your queries. And we've had a couple of really nice comments as well about the streaming, so we really appreciate all the positivity there. But like I say, if there's anything else that you want to see changed or any criticisms at all, then just let us know and we'll try and answer them, try and do that as best as we can. So anyway, Daniel's back in again, and no mess in there, he's gone straight into the pack. I think he's going to be a bit unlucky there. You can see by his reaction, he was a bit unfortunate to leave that hampered, as it were. I'm delighted to be joined on commentary here by one of the WDBS officials, Simon Beresford. Simon, thank you for joining me today. It's
no problem, you're doing a good job.
Thank you very much, brilliant. It's nice to have a friend in the commentary box, but it's must be fantastic. Obviously this weekend it's a showcase of all our best players over the last few years. It's the best performing players champions.
It's an amazing achievement. There's some great players in there. We're going to see some fantastic sneakers. We've got lots to play for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were talking on stream. It's the most prestigious event that the WDBS have held so far. We're in fantastic niche. I mean, we go to some fantastic venues, but this is a purpose-built snooker venue. This is very different to what we go to usually, but the stakes are certainly very high, especially with all the prizes on offer, and obviously places at the WSF Championship. I was saying on commentary what a huge leveler that is to try and to get players with disabilities, in the biggest amateur event in the world in Dubai in March. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the way we're going to showcase these players more and more, and put our reach around the world further and further, which ultimately we go towards gaining Paralympic status in the future.
Of course. We were mentioning earlier about our event in Northampton, the Open Disability event. It was great seeing players from different countries turn up. So obviously we had entries from Poland, Belgium, we had entry from India, and obviously Andy Lam come over from Hong Kong. So this is evidence of how it's expanding.
It's great for them. It's great for our players as well. Make new friends around the world, experience playing snooker with people from different countries.
We mentioned earlier about how these two players are our most successful Group 6 players. They're very consistent, and obviously Daniel's is a 4-time winner on the DBS circuit, but our other two players in the group as well, Richard and Andrew, also champions. So
yeah, these two are good friends off the table as well.
Yeah.
Practice a lot together, both from Liverpool. Scotty's in Liverpool, play in the Witness League on Wednesday. He's made a bit of a name for himself, actually, we have to be fair. Very, very competitive. If there was a word that was stronger than competitive,
I was going to say earlier, they're so enthusiastic and they really look forward to the events, and I was talking about that in our events in general. I mean, there's a lovely atmosphere off the table. There's a real sort of like family environment, but once it's on the table, it's very serious.
Absolutely. All of our players are best friends off tables. Real community feel. As soon as they get going, mate, no bones about it. They want to win.
Yeah.
Especially these two.
Yeah, there is a rivalry. There is a big rivalry going on here, and as we said, with the sort of golden carrot of the prizes on offer and the prize money, and obviously the WSF ticket. Only one of them can win this weekend, so this is really, really serious stuff.
Yeah, it's a good deal. And if it happens that it's one of these two that make it to that tournament, I can tell you now, they won't embarrass themselves in defence.
No.
They will win some frames. They will put a match on.
I was saying earlier on, obviously, these conditions are, we're playing on fantastic conditions, star tables and a really nice arena. It might take the players a little bit of time getting used to the tables, but I think Daniel he's adapted pretty well. He's got a good touch around the table. Leroy's undercut a few balls that have sort of cost him in the previous frames, but
yeah, it's going to take him a few frames, isn't it? I mean, these are a lot different than the standard club table. There's a few clubs we play out that have got a star table in there.
yeah,
People where you get to use their table, and it's a lot different. I think once or 2 or 3 frames in, start to understand the face of the table a little bit.
I know last month when we were at Northampton, at Barrett's Club in Northampton, it was our second visit of the year. Karen Wilson was there practicing, Harvey Chandler. I think Peter Ebner was there in the evening as well. I think Kieran actually took time out to speak to a few of the players, and he did that in February as well. It was really good to see him sort of socialise with the players. And everybody wanted a picture with him as well.
Very popular. But he's fantastic.
That's a good shot there.
He'll take the time of our players as well. So.
And it was really good to see Rob Walker as well with us last month as well. Obviously, he's was helping us towards achieving that Paralympic dream of getting back into the rightfully back into the Paralympic programme. He also
he's got brilliant knowledge from sports. So
we need
to learn from that. So it's absolutely essential. What a great shot that was.
Yeah, it was. We were saying obviously earlier about how inclusive the circuit is, but we're always striving to try and make it as fair and as competitive as we possibly can, and that's something we're always sort of like striving to work toward to make better.
There's a few challenges along the way there, especially with Group 6 actually. But we're getting there bit by bit. The good thing is we've got to support players and we understand that it's evolved.
A good opportunity here for Daniel then he's already got a little advantage in this frame to really sort of stamp this home.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's saying they've been a bit apprehensive because they know the conditions are so slick that they've under-hit a few balls.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of not completely being comfortable with the pressure, the speed of the table.
I mean, we know Dan's a very fluent player. Once he gets his confidence going, he doesn't waste much time around around the black spot at the business end of the table. Saying that Leroy possibly is more of a methodical player out of the two, does take a little bit more time and attention.
Yeah, I said Leroy pretty small.
Yeah. I think unfortunately he's left the cap there through to that red through the red and pink, so that's unfortunate to leave that. It's another good opportunity here for Daniel to really put himself in a very strong position to take this third frame. It would put him one frame away from victory. Yeah, it looks like he's yeah. He couldn't do much of that apart from sort of going forward or backwards, so he's managed to come back far enough to... This is not a bad angle. I mean, as soon as he gets a pot, the cue ball should come back round. Again, I think he's... Yeah, I thought a bit harder, but he's still got a shot on the blue, but a lot thinner than what he would have desired. Yeah. And again, on a club table, perhaps that might just drop with a slightly bigger cut in the pockets, but on these tight star tables, that wasn't going to accept it.
Little pockets.
Yeah, just if you catch the jaw, it ain't going in. Either did he? I think
he didn't commit to either shot.
There was half an opportunity there to perhaps get back into the frame, so he was disappointed that just ended up with one. Oh, that's a lovely shot right there from Daniel. And you see switch hands there, so he's the Ronnie O'Sullivan of the WDBS circuit.
The first time I saw him do that, you could tell the difference.
And that he's played that absolutely A1, that's absolutely perfect. But then he misses the red. Wow, it's yeah. I think that's possibly lack of concentration. I don't know. I mean, he's just played a fantastic shot to get on it, but effectively frame ball. If you have any questions while Simon is in the commentary booth with me here, by all means reach out to us on social media or through YouTube. Again, we'd really appreciate it if you could give us a little share on your social media channels, or tell people that this is being streamed. This is the first time that we've streamed on the WBS circuit, so it's something that we are looking potentially to have frequently on the tours, but we do want this going global around the world, so we'd really appreciate if you could give us a share and a like. We're also on Twitter and Facebook as well, the pages, so if you're not already like them, we'd be fantastic if you could do that for us too. That's a nice shot there from really well controlled, and yeah, he's 55 up with 51 remaining, but he's going to take the thread off the table as well, so that really is game over, you would feel. Yeah, I mean, he's responded well. He's won these last two frames really comfortably after Leroy took the second frame. Yes, yeah.
On a club table, that would have dropped.
Yeah, it was a brutal cut, very severe. Well, he's going back to the table. He's, I say, he's 56 behind with 43 on, so he does need actually 4 4-point snookers. So he might have to think about perhaps getting a higher value foul at some point, like a 5 or 6 pointer. No, exactly.
Leroy's nature.
And as I was saying earlier, I mean, obviously it's not the elimination if Leroy loses as much, but you want to, in fact Leroy has conceded there, but you want to win your opening match. It's key in terms of qualification. You want to try and make it as comfortable as you can. So anyway, Daniel Harwood wins frame 4 and he's 3-1 up. He's one frame away from victory. Okay, so we're back here at the 2018 WDBS Parris Champion of Champions. This is a Group 6 event match in the round robin between Daniel Harwood, who's 3-1 up on Leroy Williams in this all Merseyside affair. Daniel needs one more frame for victory. As I mentioned earlier, it wouldn't mean the end of the event for Leroy. This is a round robin phase where the top 2 out of the 4 qualify for the finals tomorrow. We're hoping we've scheduled all the finals for tomorrow at 2 o'clock, so all 6 finals will kick off together. Our second stream match is going to be around sort of 2 o'clock or 2 o'clock session. That's going to be a match from our Group 3 event for players with multiple limb impairments, one of the ambulant groups. That's going to be between, should be a cracking match between William Thomson and Daniel Blunn. And in fact, on one of our outside tables, found out that William Thomson was the first winner this morning. He won 3-0 against Nigel Coton. So straight away, William puts himself to the top of the table in a strong position to qualify for the final. But we'll get a good chance to see him on the stream too.
William had a going Q score.
Yeah, William. Yeah, William. He also qualified for the Scottish national team by right, the actual able-bodied team.
He was captain, was he?
Or was he captain? Okay, yeah, might have been, yeah, which is an incredible achievement because the Scottish Tour is a very competitive circuit to actually come through that and qualify by right. He actually travelled to the European Amateur Championships in Bulgaria, I think it was, at the start of the year. So It's a fantastic achievement, accolade. But he's going to have his work cut out against Daniel Blunn. Daniel's a former champion as well. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later on when we see them on the stream.
Leroy has to hope his concentration levels go through the roof now.
Yes, yeah, it's.
He's not going to enjoy this. He's got to keep all going. I think he'll be okay, but at the moment he's going to be thinking.
Yeah, it's a bit of a frustrating.
I mean, cagey frame.
Yeah, I mean, both players are obviously more comfortable with an open game, but Daniel doesn't really need to be the aggressor at 3-1 up at the minute. It's Leroy who sort of needs to make things happen. But it's not beyond his capabilities of winning 3 frames in a row.
Certainly not, no.
Leroy won the Northern Classic earlier in the year. And he was so delighted with that win. It meant so much to him to actually win an event on the circuit after a few sort of near misses. Yeah, he's actually reached the last 7 group 6 finals. So he's very consistent.
Absolutely delighted. He was in the final of our Group 6 event in Hull as well.
Yep.
Lost to Peter Geronimo. So tough match.
Yeah, that was only a couple of months ago, wasn't it? That was a really good event for the Group 6s.
Group 6 only weekend.
Yeah, that was a fantastic event. Usually, Group 6 events are played on the Friday as a single day, but that event in Hull, Tradewell, was solely dedicated to Group 6 players, and there was a good entry for that as well.
We had our own little celebrity at that event as well.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Is it Adam Besto? Liam Best, yeah, that's Liam, yeah. Yes, yeah, he enjoyed the weekend, didn't he? He loves his snooker.
Absolutely, made a good few friends that weekend. I think we'll see him at another event.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him again. And as I say, if you're watching this either live or in our archived portfolio on YouTube, if this is something that you want to get involved with, if you have a disability and you'd like to learn a little bit more about the WDBS, about the events, about our open days, where we are, what we're doing, by all means reach us on social media. Obviously with the WDBS. We're also on Twitter as well. We do have a website with all the information and our previous events and what we do and what we stand for as well. By all means contact us. We're very sort of approachable. You can contact us either via the Facebook pages, also one of the email addresses and telephone numbers for the main office. By all means, we're more than happy to answer any questions. And again, if you've got any questions this weekend, give us a shout on social media or the YouTube channel, and we'll see if we can answer it there and then. Frame's gone a little bit scrappy with the colours here. There might be a little bit. It's a bit of a puzzle at the minute with the pink at the top end of the table, whether that's in the open. The black, fairly safe. The brown and blue are pretty much welded. The cushions. It's the yellow and green really, and the pink in the open, like the bulk end of the table. So.
And we'll have a couple of hard chances. It's not normal that you take. Just keep it tight.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Doesn't need to be the aggressor. I mean, I think he realises that Leroy's could get frustrated with this, so biding his time.
Absolutely.
A little bit too much side on that there, and he's managed to bring the keyboard back into the open, but not left Leroy an opportunity. Was a good chance to get beyond the black, just hasn't got enough legs there. I just wonder if Daniel's tempted with this thin cut here on the red. I mean, he will be. Yeah, I think he's kind of forced into this. That's a lovely shot. bit unlucky really not to land on well, he is on the blue, but as we've seen before, these are devilishly tough on these conditions. Just grazed. I mean, if that was on a club table, it's probably going in because he's played it at a good pace for it to drop. But I'm going to go in here. Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? Purpose-built snooker.
Absolutely great.
And I think we're going to be joined by actually John Parris later on the weekend, isn't he? I think John is actually...
John's coming up later today.
Oh, fantastic.
He'll be all there tomorrow. I'm sure we can get him.
Yeah, it'd be good to see. I mean, he's been a supporter of events before in it as well, hasn't he? The UK Open earlier on in the year in Northampton, he sponsored, and I know this is something that he's passionate about, so it'll be interesting to see, hear his thoughts on that.
Yeah, very supportive, John.
We are playing for the, I mentioned earlier, we are playing for the first time the Nick Oliver Trophy. It's a trophy in Nick's tribute. He's a big sort of character on the Q Sports scene, both as a player and a fan. So fantastic to have an event so big as this fitting. Yeah, he was. Yeah, it's he was as Nick was growing up, he was a big fan of Willie Thorne, and I think really put him in touch with John Parris because really encouraged him to actually sort of play the game. So sort of friendship sort of blossomed from that as well. So that ties in really well together, and that's obviously one of the reasons why John has got involved with supporting our events. So after a quick four frame, we're 9 minutes in, and not much is happening. It really is a scrap. Although that's a bit of a loose one there, isn't it? That's that's a bit cautious, that, isn't it? It's that's a good pot there to drop the green in, but again, it's not really. That should be end of break. So yeah, you can play a bit of a telling safety here. But it wasn't far off the double, but yeah, that's good safety. That. I'm just wondering whether or not he needed to be a little bit more ambitious with his initial opening rather than the positioning on that, but he was obviously conscious that it was down the cushion, and you can't really be potting him with too much pace. Tables like these. So Daniel attempted that. I think it was like shot nothing. He was trying to bring the cube back up to the table, but he has cannon into the blue. So another half chance here for Leroy. Yeah, it's nicely put away, but
played it well, but he's playing every shot cautiously. He's making sure he's not leaving anything.
Yeah, he is leaving. Yeah, a little bit back, isn't he? He had a decent opportunity in the first frame to poach it. He was a good 40 points down, but he managed to sort of dig himself back into the frame. And he was actually on the colours to clear up, but he missed a tricky green. I think if he'd won that frame, I think he would have been a bit more sort of adventurous with his shot selection. In terms of the match, it has proved a fairly sort of pivotal frame, that opener, which Daniel won on the black. say the next phase of the WDBS progression is then, is it the continuing the work with different national organisations and formulating relationships around the world with different groups and things like that? Is that the sort of ongoing?
The next big aim is to open to put events on in other countries. We're going to sort of have an event earlier this year in Belgium, as you know. That's booked in already for March next year. So we're going back over to Bruges. And the guys from Belgium, some of the players from there, they came over to the Northampton event last month as well. So we've got a really good relationship with Belgium. We just need to expand that now, to a few more countries and move on from there.
No, obviously talking about sort of Europe, we obviously had a couple of players come over from Poland as well. They really enjoyed the event in Northampton a few weeks ago. I know Nigel Moore has talked about players from Iceland and Israel also being eligible for events like that, and elsewhere in sort of mainland and sort of outside of Europe as well. So
We're finding the players. It's not an easy process. It's not something that you can do overnight. But this is where the WSF tournament's going to be good for us as well, especially putting the WDBS players in.
Exactly.
That win this, because once we go over there, we're going to create a lot of attention.
That is massive, isn't it, for the players? You know, to actually have that. That's a good shot there from Leroy. He's put a couple of really good safeties in this frame. But yeah, that's something to really sort of aspire to. That is, you know, the biggest sort of amateur event in the world. So participation in that is.
Yeah, we can have some players over there playing well, showing that we've got players, good snooker players. And hopefully they'll expand the reach even more. And, you know, show these players, look, you've got the players. Yeah, get involved.
And I think regardless of who qualifies from each group for that event next March, as we said, they're not going to disgrace us. I think that most of them will be nuisances on the table. They will pick up wins, I think, and frames, and I think it will be massive. Just again, he's a bit apprehensive there, but
yeah, we've not got any players that can't play the game well. So whoever goes over there, no doubt about it, they'll win frames.
Yeah, there'll be.
I expect there'll be some matches won.
Yeah, there'll be.
It's not
Dangerous proposition.
It's not going to be a walk in the park.
Risky one there from Leroy. I'm not quite sure what other options he had, but yeah. But this frame once again has become scrappy. You've got the black back on the top cushion there, and either the reds in bulk. Just overcut that there. So opportunity for Leroy to put a couple of points on the board, you would think, but it's very difficult to pick out a colour. He's probably going to have to come back up to the top end of the table off this red. So Cuba's going to cover a bit of distance here.
I think we come up and avoid the black and then sit back on the pink.
Yeah.
Back down on a spot with those three reds in the middle of the table.
That'll
open the game up.
That would be the ideal scenario, wouldn't it? Getting that pink back into the business area. Looks a bit pacey for that. Yeah, looked a bit pacey when he hit the cue ball. I think would he be upset that he's not on a colour there. Yeah, there's not. He needs to think carefully about this, where he's going to look at the cue. We can't really play for a pot. I think. Well, it looks as if he's taking this blue on. I guess it's a good pot. Although where's the cue ball? Yeah, it's I mean, it was a good pot, but it was very tricky to control it as well. He would have had it with a lot more pace to put it at the table. Yeah, he has, I think. Oh, that's an elegant shot. That's a terrific shot. So you can see the potting ability of these players. You know what they are capable of. And I think it's just the fact that they're playing on a sort of like an alien table, why they can't sort of like string it together at the minute. But we have seen a couple of sort of like 20 and 30 breaks. That's another nice shot. That's terrific. He's back in control here. He's back in A1 position. Just the wrong side of straight there, so he couldn't not bring the cue ball further away from the blue. So he's done well, sort of dusting up these reds that were in the open. I'm just wondering if he can swing this around a couple of cushions around the green. That's what he was looking for, but he's not hit it hard enough. It's a good line. He managed to get the side on the cue ball to swing it around. Well, he's potted a couple already in this break, so he might feel confident to do so. Well, that's incredible. So a terrific little break this is. It's yeah, it has. And this lead is like gold really when you look at where the reds are. So if you can pot this black, the lead will be 29. Yeah, I think I was asking a bit too much for that pace, but when it was only 19, but it was quite an elegant 19, wasn't there? There was a few sort of highlight reel shots there in that break. So I think we're talking again. That was the confidence. He potted a few sort of tricky balls that really sort of boosted him, and perhaps that led him to playing that black a little bit quick because he got confidence, and perhaps he got to find a little more of a middle ground. But we had a little glimpse there into sort of what Leroy's single ball potting can be like. That was more of a safety than a pot really. The safety was first priority. No. So half an attempt at the plant there. Now we see all the balls are at the top end of the table. Reds and colours. To have a go at that red. Well, saying that, does this red pass? Well, it's having a good. Yeah, I wonder if Leroy didn't realise that red went. Well, let's see if it does go. And again, he switched hands. Well, it did go. So I'm just wondering whether or not Leroy realised that, because he played that red. It looked quite a rash shot, but it looked like a shot or nothing. That was the only red he could leave on. So I'm just wondering whether or not that was a little error there from Leroy. And as you said, Simon, I think this black does squeeze past the red. So if he used to pop this black, he would be on the red next to the black. So this frame could, the complexion of this frame could change with this black being deposited. No, he's just clipped the red through, and well, he's actually put it on a plate for Leroy now to score a few, extend his lead in this frame. Yeah, it was to get back in the frame. Saving grace here for Daniel is that Leroy's left-handed, so this is not the right side of the table for him. He managed to get the. He's okay. I think you can pot the black. Too much trouble. Yeah. He's screwing in behind the other reds there, isn't he? Yeah, that's nice. Nicely played. down the table. I'm just wondering whether he was going for the blue or black there. It's hard to tell whether he's under-hit that or over-hit that. But you'd think he would have played the blue.
I think he was playing for the black.
That's a nice shot there. So Frank moves on to 14. Lee moves on to 35. So he's sort of edging his way towards the frame here, Leroy, and stopping the rock. Like I say, Daniel's on the last 2 frames. It's only 1 frame away from victory. He's potted a few balls like this in this frame. Wonder if he can sink another. Just yeah, left it safe and. Well, if there is, Daniel's not entertained it. He's. He's 35 up where the position the balls are and the brown. That's quite a commanding lead for Leroy. I wonder if Leroy's had a look to see whether it's a plant. It might just be going towards the near jaw. Oh, well, he didn't.
Well,
we'll never know now, will we? But, he's left him an absolute glorious opportunity to snooker here. Yeah. So he's kind of put himself in trouble there. He fell into the trap. He managed to hit the red. He hit ultra thin slice there, but he has left Daniel an opportunity to score a few points here and get himself back into the frame. Remember, this is the frame to take him to victory if he can somehow manage to do it. He'll be getting the pink back on its own spot as well, so the frame is starting to open up for Daniel here. Again, changes hands. Is that going to hit the bump? And it has, yeah. I think if that avoided the bump, he might have been in behind it. He's got a good cue ball. I thought might have played the safety a little bit differently, but that's not too bad. Has reduced his arrears to 22 now, so he's a little bit more in the frame. I think the yellow passes the brown into the yellow pocket, so if he were to give himself a chance for clearance, I think they all go.
You can play this as a shot to nothing, can't you? You'll have to get up.
Yeah, well, you can see what his plan was there, but has he given? Could that be his last shot? That's a nice ball. That's fantastic. That's a really good shot. The way he played it, if he missed it, he was leaving the frame on, leaving the red on, and that would have been game over, you think, for the frame.
It doesn't have to do much with the cue ball, let's get on the yellow and does it?
No, I think the yellow does go into the yellow pocket, but if he didn't, he did an angle to play it into the green pocket, but he's missed the blue. Wow, that's incredible. That's just, I think that's a lack of, well, not necessarily concentration, but he was focusing so hard on getting good position from the yellow. I think possibly took his eye off the blue. So anyway, Leroy, this is your good chance to take frame 5, get yourself right back in the match. Just needs yellow and green. I think he was just working out what he does require. Yeah, that's fine. So just make sure of the green, and he'll leave Daniel requiring snookers. Yep, no heroics on that green, was there? He's just making sure of
His heart's going to be intensely good, isn't it?
yeah,
He's back in it.
yeah, he's back in the match with this frame, definitely. little bit disappointed in pot the brown, but obviously his main objective was potting the green the shot before, so he wasn't too adventurous with his positional play. So Leroy managed to get out of the snooker there and managed to avert danger. Daniel is 26 behind, so 1 4-point penalty snooker or foul would mean he could tie. Just wondering whether or not he might think about potting the brown and trying to get a 5-point snooker. Some players have different sort of methods in terms of when that sort of equation comes to play. Oh, I think that is fantastic. I think for a second he thought it was going in, and I think I'm just wondering whether the jaw's coming into play here as well. A little swerve here, but yeah, and it was managed to just turn it over enough. That was a good shot from down, wasn't it? I mean, it was a very small sort of margin of error there, yeah, and it was brave, wasn't it? Looks a bit heavy. That was a good opportunity actually to get a snooker behind either sort of pink or black there, really. Yep, so Daniel has opted to sort of pop the brown, so now a 1 5-point snooker would actually be enough for him to win the frame if he got the snooker and then cleared up. Although that was a bit of a loose one from Daniel, opportunity missed. He'd be keen to get this frame over and done with Leroy. Yeah, he does.
He just looks like he's thinking about the blue that he missed.
I think it's very easy once you're at the snooker's required stage to become very defensive and very sort of negative thinking, but you don't want to make any sort of like errors by going in all four, any unforced errors like that. Must again say thank you to everybody who's tuning into the live stream today, and all the comments and shares that you're giving us on social media. We do really appreciate it. As I say, we want to try and get this event and the weekend, throughout the weekend, to as many people as we can. Make people aware of what we're doing and what our aims are here at the WDBS. It's this, wow, that's a prime example of what I was saying before about an unforced error. So you've got to put that down as a quite a bad unforced error there from Leroy, and now Daniel can actually win because it was a.
Yeah, when the cue ball's gone in the middle of the pocket, it didn't look so tight.
No, exactly. So here's a half a chance for Daniel. Can he produce one of his trademark long pots? No, I was asking a bit too much. So Leroy's got to go to the well again and pop frame ball. You can play this with an element of safety really, because he's going to bring the cue ball down here the top end of the table. It looks as if it's there, so well done to Leroy for holding it together again. I think he's just okay. I think he can hit the edge of this pink. Thought he might have played that a little bit softer and sort of roll it towards cushion with that. That blue's massive. That puts him 22 in front. So with only 13 on, it's now 2 6-point snookers for Daniel, and obviously with just one ball to snooker behind it, so his options are very, very limited. I wonder if Leroy's just gonna roll this over the pocket here, or if he's gonna played it. Could have played it a bit slower, but that's fine. He knows he's in a fairly comfortable position now. Isn't it amazing how the balls
Yeah,
become difficult to pot once you're at the snooker's required stage? Is that's a good line, but far too strong. So again, I wonder if Leroy's just going to drop this over the top right hand pocket. No, he's sort of played a cocked at safety. That's not Daniel's Sunday best there, and Leroy's got a great opportunity to finally finish it once and for all. And he has.
Well done, Leroy.
So Leroy's done well to respond there, and he wins frame 5 and reduces his arrears to 3-2. And we'll be back with you in frame 6. Thanks for joining us here again. We're back here for frame 6 of this Group 6 event here at the Parris Champion of Champions event. As we saw in the last frame, Leroy's reduced his arrears. He's now only 3-2 behind in this best of 7 clash. This opening match, this weekend's event here on the live stream. After a fairly quick 5th frame, that last frame was a little bit more protracted. There was a bit of safety. The balls did go scrappy, so hopefully we'll see a little bit more of a fluent frame in frame 6. I don't think this is very easy for Leroy to get safe. As you can see, he's kind of come off a couple of cushions and try and trickle into the pack. So like I say, it did look a little bit wide from the first cushion, and a little bit pacey as well. Although if he hit the real sort of meat of the pack there, I don't think he would have left necessarily something easy on. Daniel just seeing if he can get through to the pot and angle of the thread. And he can, but he couldn't avoid canning the red underneath it, and unfortunately, unless he takes a very thin blue on, he's got nothing, so takes the prudent option of the safety. A little bit unlucky there. Well, I say unlucky, it might actually be fortunate to have moved the brown. It does take away a couple of options on the right hand side. The reds. I wonder if Leroy can hit the left hand side of these reds here and take the cue back into log. It looks like he can, so well, he could hit it, but it was obviously a very thin contact, and well, did he hit it? That was a very thin contact. I must have missed that there if he did. Yeah. So he did hit that, so it's off to Specsavers for me in the morning. But anyway, Daniel responded with a thicker contact on that pack, but as you see there, that's a fantastic shot there from Leroy, and he looks as if he's going to be perfect on the blue. Terrific shot. Another early opportunity for Leroy to get a few points on the board as he tries to force this to go to a 7th and 3rd frame. That's a lovely shot. You can see that he's really grown in terms of sort of his potting ability on this table, and also he's got the pace of the table as well, the pace of the cloth, the cushions. Also, this wouldn't be a shock if he was, to overturn this deficit and win the match. It would perhaps be a little bit of an upset in terms of he was the outside of the match, and obviously he has lost to Daniel on a few occasions throughout 2018 on the WDBS circuit. As we say, Leroy is a champion himself, so a victory like this is by no means beyond him. He's left with a little bit of distance here between the cue ball and the object ball, so just we need a nice positive stroke. It was a little bit, it was a previous shot on the colour that caused the issue there, you feel. But he has been rather fortunate with his leave there. Good shot. That's a lovely shot there from Daniel. Look at the position of the reds. It's going to be very difficult to pick a red out here and lose it safe. It's going to be very tricky to leave safe. I mean, the brown is covering up quite a lot of options in terms of what first cushion he's going to hit, so that causes some problems. So he's actually looking at coming off the bolt cushion first. Is he looking at trying to lay up to this red near the right middle pocket? That's what he's gone for. Might not be the worst idea in the world to have played that shot. I mean, if he hits it thin enough, it might separate. The white and red might go in different directions, but it will go back, obviously, and there wasn't a free ball on, so I wonder if Leroy's going to play the same shot again. That's possibly not the worst shot in the world. I just wonder if he'd play it with a little bit less place and look to perhaps sit on top of the red, because if he hits it, he's not going to be leaving on anything easy anyway. Leroy's just adjusting his glasses there. Like I say, these matches are a little bit longer than what we'd usually play, but obviously with the prestige and all the rewards on offer this weekend, it feels right that the format is slightly longer, and the players do obviously prefer a longer format. So he has played the same shot again at pretty much the same pace, but this time he's gone in off. It's just a little bit of an adjustment that he has to make. Obviously Dan's going to put him back behind the green. So he's been close the last two times, so I wouldn't think he's going to change tack, although he is. He's obviously picking out another red to try and hit, so he has hit a red. How's it going to end up? Well, not good. That's the answer to that. Saying that, does this red go? For a second I thought this passes. And obviously does think it will go. And it does. So if you can pop this black, you might be back in. There might be potential to score a few more. Good shot, a little bit unlucky there with the cannon. I mean, he did hit that positively, and for a split second they all went, but they managed to sort of tangle each other up. I think he's just got to rein himself in a little bit here and just play a good safety. Got to be careful that he's played the way I was saying. He's just got to be careful that red doesn't push that red on into a potable position, but he didn't. Could have gone very wrong for Leroy there, the way that red cannon for the other reds. It did wobble in the jaws, but it has gone safe, so a little bit of good fortune there for Leroy. Again, another example of how tight these pockets are. That looked a pretty good hit there from Daniel, but pocket didn't accept it. I'm not sure if he looked at the plan, but he probably realised that the balls were obviously going in that sort of direction. But he has stuck up a red this time, so another little opportunity for Daniel to perhaps get a few points on the board. Let's see if that's going to swing around. So they're going to be on. Yep, he's going to be on the yellow, and it looks like he's got an angle too. Get back down into the business part of the table. Although the reds kind of, from what they were looking like a few minutes ago, they have tangled each other up and they're kind of in each other's way. So he's missed the yellow anyway, although he has fluked it. So he's frustrated that he missed the yellow, but he's obviously very grateful that they did find gravity elsewhere. He could see enough of that red to pot it. It was a bit of a stretch for him. He's not the right side of the blue, but again, he's sort of strengthening his position in this frame. It's the frame that he needs to win. So, well, that's purely sort of obviously trying to get the cube around the table. In fact, he's got it off. So, in terms of how much he's gained from that visit, he scored 4 points, but he's given away 5. So, I can't say he strengthened his position, but he actually ended up giving Leroy a bit of a more of a foothold in it. As I said earlier, we do have 8 other matches on in progress. We are in a big sort of purpose-built arena here at the Southwest Snooker Academy in Gloucester. Results are coming through. I mentioned earlier on that William Thomson in our Group 3 event, he was the first winner today. He won 3-0 against Nigel Coton. What you can do throughout the weekend is the tournament is live on mysnookerstats.com. So if you want to go to their website, where you'll be able to see all the sort of latest results and group standings, because obviously that's going to be very crucial in terms of who qualifies from each section tomorrow morning. A few of the players today will realise whether or not they've qualified or whether they've been eliminated or not. Some players will play all their 3 group games today. There is a session tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock though for the remaining round robin fixtures, and as I said, around 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon all the finals will kick off at once. So it'll be a really sort of great atmosphere. It'll be a pressure cooker there tomorrow afternoon. There's so much at stake, you know, the prestige, the titles, the trophies, the prize money, and obviously that huge golden carrot of the qualification to the WSF Championship in Dubai next year, which also one of our long-term sponsors at FizThinks 360, Johnny Welsh, has very kindly supported. He's going to support the players' travel costs and accommodation to get to and from them whilst in Dubai. So it's a real big package on offer. So that tomorrow is really sort of winner takes all. There's a tremendous lot of action to happen before then. Taking a really hard look to see if these reds go. Again, they've kind of got in the way of each other. He's opted to play the outside red, which is obviously a tougher shot. Did get the cue ball back into bulk, but I'm just wondering, I think he's left a gap here for Leroy. The red nearest to the pocket, and he has. And that's a bit of a fortunate outcome there for Leroy. Could quite have easily left something on for Dan. Just wonder, a little bit of frustration, and the tide is turning a little bit. And like I say, Dan was coasting a little bit through on shots like that. He's getting a little bit frustrated that he's not already sort of got the job done. And Leroy will probably realise this. He did say in the last round it was probably Daniel's prerogative to try and frustrate Leroy and not force the issue, but he's played a couple of sort of careless ones that he won't be too proud of, Daniel, in the last frame and a half, and Leroy started to get his potting boots on, certainly in the last frame. He's growing in confidence and probably realises now that there's a good chance, although he'll be disappointed with that effort. And he's just underhit that. Daniel does still lead in the frame though. There, and I think that, you know, Daniel's definitely more frustrated now than he has been. I think he realises he doesn't want this going to a deciding frame, because the momentum would be with Leroy if it did go to a 7th. flick has made it difficult for Daniel here. It's not a bad selection of shot really. He's played a containing safety there. I think he knew he would be leaving possibly something on. I don't know the red next to the pink. I mean that's very tough anyway where the cue ball is, but it's not a bad selection of shot there from Dan. So he was clearly thinking on that shot there. Is it that a little bit too thin, but that's not bad at all. Say the two reds in the bottom right hand side of the bottom right hand corner of the table there, covering each other up, and they're too far away to be made into a plant. Now, so Leroy attempted a similar type of shot to what Daniel played a few visits ago, but he has stuck this red up, and it's an opportunity here for Dan to pot a few balls, get his arm going again. He's missed, and yeah, definitely momentum is shifting here. All of a sudden it starts to become tough for Dan after winning two fairly sort of comfortable frames in frames 3 and 4. So Leroy will be very upset with that as well. That's a really good opportunity there for Leroy to get back into the frame. Well, to take ahead in the frame, but let's see if Dan can get his potting boots back on. And he can. That's a nice shot there, and I think it's good on the pink. I just wonder whether or not the pink will be respotted back on its own spot after this, because it could just stun across here and then play the red into the bottom right hand pocket. I wonder if he has looked at that, but he's missed the pink again. So yeah, you can see he's getting really frustrated now. The momentum really has shifted, and Leroy will be realising this. It'll be very interesting to see what happens if this goes to the side in frame, because it's possible that the pressure may turn again towards Leroy. At 3-1 down, he probably wasn't feeling too good about his game, but he's done what he had to. He's done what he's needed to do. He's potted a few good balls over the last frame and a half, and as you can see, Dan's getting frustrated. That's just wiggled in. He's still at the table. I think he was trying to just come underneath the black and leave himself for the blue. But that's no man's land, unfortunately. I think it's just a safety for Leroy. He is now just 1 point behind Daniel though, so this frame is up for grabs for both players. Again, that looks a little bit of a reckless one from Daniel, and he wasn't playing those shots earlier on in the match, so evidence of how this momentum is shifting. Good shot there from Dan. I'll make him feel a little bit better there. That was, he might have been covering up with the blue if he missed it, but not easy at all. We did just correct the score. I think we left the foul out early on in the frame. We checked the actual scoreboard in the arena, so that's the reason why you've probably seen additional 4 points go onto Daniel's scoreboard. Now Daniel's 11 in front. I mean, he's gone for that red again to try and another tricky one down the cushion. Didn't get it this time, but he hasn't left anything on. Still 59 on the table, but as you can see, the position of these reds, even Ronnie O'Sullivan himself would do well to clear these up. So plenty of action remaining here. seeing if the cue was going to go enough, and it has, so 4 points to Leroy. Shot. That's a nice little bonus there to get the cue ball sitting on top of the brown. And he's played it fairly quickly. I just wonder if he's going to leave this red on, and he has. It has pulled up just in time, so that nice safety and perhaps the additional of bonus of getting the white on top of the brown has set Leroy up this red as he sort of inches towards overhauling Daniel's points total in this frame. Wonder how ambitious he's going to play this blue, whether or not if he's just going to pot it, or take the points, or just thinking about developing reds. He's played it fairly sort of conservatively there. I mean, the pot was the main issue there. A little bit surprised with that safety. It was very sort of negative safety. It's given Daniel the opportunity of getting a bit of distance with the cue ball, although could have played that a little bit better, just barely got into the bulk area. Just a containing shot from Daniel again, similar to a shot he played a fair few visits ago. It's going to take a little bit of resolving this frame, the way the pattern of the balls are. That's a bit of a careless one from Leroy, and another opportunity for Daniel to score a few points here. Yeah, it's a nice shot. He's got good position on the black, and I'm just wondering whether he's got an angle here to disturb the red on the right side cushion, or whether or not he might just sort of try and get in behind it. Looks as if he's gonna go into it. That's too much pace. You can see the cue ball arc there. Possibly needed to play it a little bit slower for it to be a natural cannon. But he potted the black, which was his main objective, so as I say, he is sort of inching towards victory here, but again, he's played that pretty slack. He won't be happy with that. He's giving Leroy an opportunity here. There is just 9 points in this frame, so it really is in the balance. It's a good shot. I think it's going to be on the right side of the pink here. He'll be able to sort of punch this down. Probably use the cushion. I don't think he can sort of punch it directly. But again, because he's putting pace on this, he's got to make sure of the pot. Yeah, that was the issue, especially with pockets as tight as these. It wasn't a gimme. Good red from Daniel. We know how missable they are down the cushions, but he is straight on the black here, so he really can't do much apart from sort of really pot it. Really, I don't think he's got any aspirations of getting perfect on the yellow. He's missed the black. You see, he's well aware he's under pressure. He wants to get this done in this frame. He really doesn't want this going to the deciding frame. He could have really done with potting the black there. That would have put him 16 points up, 27 on. It's only 9 points. That 9 point difference is quite precious when you look at where the green is. Although saying that the brown's although it's on a cushion, it's fairly close to a pocket, and with the blue in close proximity, there is a chance. There's an outside chance of the clearance, although it would be a bit of a stretch. So that was a little pot shot from Daniel. Wow. A, does this yellow pot past the black, and B, can he get to the potting angle? Even if he can, what's going to be his next shot if he pots it? The green's the other end of the table, there's quite a lot of distance, so... Well, that's very well played. That's a very clever shot. I'm not sure, I'll give him credit there, I'll say that's a deliberate shot. I don't think he could have got to it direct. He's managed to sort of pot it and swing the cue around. And that's another nice shot there from Leroy, so a couple of really nicely crafted shots there. And again, the balance has shifted somewhat. Just short. If it's short, it'll always be, especially with a one cushion, well, in any sort of foul, in any snooker attempt, with not enough pace will always be a miss. I mean, even if Daniel, so we managed to get out of that little predicament. Lovely shot there from Leroy. Terrific shot. Lovely hit there. He's going to end up. I think that green passes the brown, so again, though, if this is far from straightforward, it's going to have to travel all the way around the table here, and that's not going to be hard enough for ideal position, although he has got the cue well into the top half of the table, so I wonder if he will still go for this brown. Tables, even though he played it with a lot of drag there to try and keep the cue ball at the top part of the table, but he's missed it. This frame is still very much up for grabs. He's Daniel 6 points up with just 22 on. Brown and blue would suffice, whilst Leroy needs brown, blue and pink. Obviously that combination of the balls may change depending on whoever pots the brown. Flirted a little bit with danger there. Yeah, twice in the shot, so cannon into the black, and the cue ball wasn't a million miles away from going enough in the yellow pocket. Where's this brown going? It's going over the hole, that's where it's going. So then, Leroy. Got a little poke here. A little window of opportunity. That's well controlled from Leroy there. He's done really well to get that there. So he's missed the blue. So both players need blue and pink to win the frame, so very interesting scenario here because the pink's not in the most favourable position on the table. Again, that's a bit of a slack one from Daniel. I mean, he went for the pot, but it's giving Leroy a chance here. Looks like he's got an angle to get towards the pink. He has. Coming behind it, but it's far too much. And now it really is, when you look at the black, it's a pink ball game. The black is right over the hole, so all the cookies are on this pink. That's not going to be too bad. That was a little attempt there at the frame winner, but where the black is, don't think it possibly could pass the black in if it was really close on the side cushion, but it's not an option on that shot. That was a little bit dangerous from down. I'm just wondering whether or not he's left it up enough here for Leroy to have a little poke at this. I think he has. Hasn't potted it and got away with it, so no damage done. So the drama continues. Pretty good shot, really. Like I say, I don't think this pink passes the black, although possibly might be able to play this off the black. Is there enough gap? No. Obviously, in fact, there wasn't. Now this isn't. Right. So this is an opportunity for Dan. It's all on this pink. That's butchered it a little bit, you'd think, and wow, where's this? Wow, opportunity now for Leroy. He just needs the pink, although that's pretty immaterial with the black hanging over the pocket. But this pink for Leroy to take us to the decider. Oh, just not good enough. He'll be thankful that he's got a good cue ball on this, but this is another half chance for Dan. You know, it's the winning ball, isn't it? It's that sort of mentality that it's all or, well, I say all or nothing. It's all or a deciding frame. He simply doesn't want a deciding frame. Oh, what an effort by Leroy. Well, I say what an effort, but I just wonder whether that was ill-advised, because he's absolutely put it on a plate for Daniel. This couldn't be easy. He's just got to make sure that it's good. I'm not quite sure why he's had to get that close to the black, but never mind, it's happened now. So this black ball for Daniel Harwood to win 4-2, to be our first winner on the stream this weekend, and he's done it. So Daniel Harwood is our first winner of our first stream game this weekend. This weekend's Parris Q's Champion of Champions Group 6 event. He kicks off his campaign with a win. Leroy was very close there to forcing decide after being 3-1 down, but it's not the end of the road for Leroy. He's got 2 further games in the group with Richard Yendall and Andrew Gaddy, so there is still a possibility that Leroy could progress to the final, whilst Daniel is sort of sitting pretty with his first victory. Thanks for tuning into the stream this morning. I've really appreciated it. Thanks for all your comments on social media and all the shares and likes that we've had. That's fantastic. We want to try and get the word out there about the event being streamed this weekend. Our next stream match is going to be at 2 o'clock. It's going to be from our Group 3 event, so that's an event with players with ambling issues, so multiple limb issues. It's going to be a cracking game. It's going to be between 2 multiple champions on the WDBS circuit. It's also an England and Scotland clash between Daniel Blunn and William Thomson. So if you want to join us again, that's going to be around 2 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you shortly.